Hello all and welcome to this AWS tutorial. In our tutorial today, we will learn how to copy data from ServiceNow to Amazon Redshift using Amazon App Flow. Pre-prep required for this tutorial. You need to go ahead and sign up for a ServiceNow developer account at https://developer.servicenow.com. This account is free and does not require any credit card information for sign up. Once you've signed up for your account, go ahead and log into your ServiceNow account, okay, and connect to your dev instance. At the end, ensure that you copy your admin credentials, which is your username, password, and your dev instance URL. Along with ServiceNow, you need to do some pre-prep for Redshift as well. Go ahead and provision a Redshift cluster of size DC2 large in your default VPC and associate your default security group. One thing to keep in mind is the moment you provision this cluster, you will incur charges. Hence, ensure that you release all resources at the end of this tutorial. Now, while you're provisioning your cluster, ensure that you copy your username and password. Once your cluster is provisioned, go ahead and create an empty S3 bucket name ServiceNow Incidents Data. Now, this is the name that I'm going to use in this tutorial, but you are more than welcome to create an S3 bucket with the name of your choice. Okay, so I have basically gone ahead and completed all of these steps from my end. So let us go ahead and review this initial setup. So this is ServiceNow right here. This is my developer account. Okay, I'm connected, it's online. And this is my dev instance URL. And I have 10 days remaining. And when you click on this URL, basically you will have a similar view, right? So you will basically be diverted to your dev instance. And over here, what you need to do is you need to go ahead and click on incidents. Now, let's say just in case you're not able to see any data, like you're not able to see any records right now, just go ahead and click on all over here, and then you will start seeing incident data over here. Now, this data that you are seeing is the default or the sample data that comes along with the dev instance. It's a total of 63 records that you typically get. Okay, so if you go ahead and provision your dev instance, you will also have similar data. Now, there are several columns over here, so feel free to go ahead and change your view. I have basically selected these 6 columns over here because these columns I will be leveraging as part of this particular tutorial. Okay, so there you go. This is your initial setup for ServiceNow. Now, this is my Redshift right here. So I've provisioned my cluster. My cluster is available. It is DC2 large with 2 nodes. It's up and running. This cluster has been provisioned in my default VPC. So this is my default security group that is associated to my default VPC, right? And currently I've not made any changes to the security group. It is as it is by default. And here is my S3 bucket. This is an empty bucket that I have created, right? And we will be leveraging this bucket as part of our tutorial. Okay, so this is our initial setup. So let's continue further ahead. The next thing that we need to do is we need to modify security group for our Redshift to open port 5439. Now, if you've ever worked with Redshift, you will already know that Redshift communicates on 5439 by default. So let us go ahead and edit the security group. So click on edit inbound rules and then click on add rule. Select Redshift from here. This is 5439 right there. And then just open it up right now and click on save. So we have finished this particular change, the first one over here. The next thing that we will do is we will create a table to store data from ServiceNow. So this table is going to be created on our Redshift cluster, and all data that we will be copying over from ServiceNow will be stored in this particular table. Now, initially you saw that there are several columns in ServiceNow, right? But for this demo, I will only be using 4 columns, and I have created this create table incidents script over here, right? So you see there are 4 columns, and I will be creating this table on our Redshift cluster. So it has a totally of 4 columns, that is ID, category, resolve date, and security, right? So let us copy the script. Now, when you are doing on your side, feel free to, add additional columns, but I'm just going to use 4 columns right now. So click on editor, and then this is connected to our Redshift cluster, right? And then ensure, by default, you might come to information schema. So let's say if you come to information schema, then go to public schema over here, and then copy this script right there and click on run. So it will take a while to create this table, so be patient, right? So this is our script, and our table has been created. So this is our table right there. So if you click on it, you will be able to see all its columns. So we have total of 4 columns over here. So we have completed step number 2. The next step is to modify our cluster and make it publicly accessible, right? So by default, what happens is Redshift is only accessible from within its VPC, right? So if any other service needs to talk with it, or it needs to talk with any other service that's outside of VPC, then you need to make it publicly accessible. Now, let's say if you don't do this, then you will get a 502 error, or you will get a bad gateway, right? So that's why it becomes very important for making this publicly accessible. So what you have right now is you have this VPC. In this VPC is Redshift. This Redshift is accessible from within this VPC, right? So anybody who's there within this VPC can talk to this Redshift cluster by default. Now, if anybody who is outside, so let's say if AppFlow, who is outside of this VPC, needs to communicate with this Redshift cluster, right? For AppFlow to be able to communicate with this Redshift cluster, right, it needs to have access to it. And for us to be able to do that, we have to make it publicly accessible. This is the key. If you don't do this, let's say you miss this step, right, then you will get a 502. So if you are getting a 502, just go back and check this particular setting. So there are 2 settings that you should check at all times. The first is to ensure that this is publicly accessible, and the second is to ensure that 5439 is open. Okay, perfect. So let us go ahead and make that particular change. So click on clusters, select your cluster, click on actions, click on modify publicly accessible setting, make it yes, and then click on confirm. You don't need an elastic IP address. So just click on confirm. So it will go ahead and now make this change. It takes a little time, okay? In the meanwhile, we will go ahead with the additional steps. Okay, so the next thing that we have to do is we have to create an IAM role for Redshift and attach this particular policy. So this policy gives Redshift read-only access to S3. Okay, so it's only to provide read-only access to S3. Why is that? Remember, we created a bucket, a S3 bucket for this particular tutorial. It is because when AppFlow communicates with Redshift, this communication or this copying of data to Redshift does not happen directly. In between over here, right, there is S3. So temporarily, you will see that this data is copied over here in S3, in our S3 bucket. In fact, if any data that, let's say for whatever reason was not copied, or there was a failure or anything of that sort, that will also be copied to our S3 bucket. Okay, so hence it comes over here, and then from here, this accesses or this communicates with S3 as well to get the data copied over, right? So there, it basically for this, you require Redshift to have read-only access to S3, because let's say whatever happens, right, then it will store that particular information in S3. So for all these three to work together, right, and Redshift to be able to access S3, it requires read-only access. So we are only providing read-only access. It cannot go ahead and do anything to S3, but just go and read the data. Okay, so let's go here and then go to services, go to IAM, and we will create a role over here, right, and provide it read-only access. So click on roles, create, and we will say Redshift customizable. Next, we will select Amazon S3, read-only access, tags. It's okay if you want to add any tags. Next, we will give it a name. So you can say this already exists. Okay, so let me say my S3 Redshift role. I'm just going to say, I'm going to remove this part, sorry. Okay, so let's just give this, okay. Hopefully this name is available. Okay, it is available. Okay, and I'm going to copy this in description. So this is our role name. I'm going to copy it so that I remember. I'm going to paste it over here. Okay, so this is our Redshift role and create role. So now it will go ahead and create a role. Now we have basically provided Redshift access to S3, but we need to ensure that our cluster has access to S3. And for that, we need to go ahead and modify the cluster again and associate this role to our cluster. So let us go ahead and do that. That's the last step over here, right? So go back, go to your cluster, and it is available now. Go to actions, go to manage IAM roles, and select your role. So it was my S3 Redshift role. I believe that was the name. My S3 Redshift role, okay. Add IAM role and click on done. Okay, so again, it is modifying our cluster. So basically we have completed all of these steps. Now the next thing that we need to do is we need to go ahead and create our app flow. So let us do that. So let me now go to app flow, right? So app flow. Click on create flow. We'll give it a name. Let's say ServiceNow to Redshift. Copy the same in description. Click on next. Our source is ServiceNow. We'll go ahead and now create the connection. So click on connect. Our username. So I had copied my username over here and I had requested you to also copy your credentials. So go ahead and copy your credentials over here. These are my creds. You need to give our dev instance. So this is our dev instance name. So copy this dev whatever. The remaining is already there. So just copy this name and give it a con name. So let's say ServiceNow con, right? So this is our connection name and click on connect. So our connection was successful and we are able to see all the objects from ServiceNow. Now we are going to use the incident object. So select incident. So this is our source. These are our source details, right? Now let's go ahead and set up the destination. Destination is Redshift. Click on connect. Choose your S3 bucket. Choose your role. Our role was my S3 Redshift role. Give your username. So this is my username for Redshift. Okay, I had mentioned to you earlier to copy this, so ensure that you have copied it. Okay, the next thing that we need is our JDBC URL. So go to Redshift, go to properties. This is properties of your cluster. You will see connection details. You will see view all connection details, click on that. Below that, you will see JDBC, click on copy. And go back to AppFlow and paste it right there. And then give a connection name. So we will say Redshift, right? Redshift con. There you go. And click on connect. Okay, so I believe I've got the classic error again, and let me highlight that to you, right? So again, I think I'm getting this a second time around while I'm doing a demo. I don't know why it happens, but you see that the destination has suddenly switched to ServiceNow. Our destination was Redshift, and it is still Redshift. This is a bug from AWS. Okay, I will have it reported. But if you get this bug, don't worry. It's okay, just go back and flip it. Our source is S3, is ServiceNow. Our destination is Redshift. Okay, so if something like this happens to you, just go back and select Redshift and then continue further ahead. So now choose your connection. Now choose your schema. Our schema was public. And then go ahead and choose our Redshift table. Our Redshift table was incidents right there. Okay, on error, what should happen? So we'll just say, just stop the flow and write data that couldn't be transferred to S3 bucket. So this is our S3 bucket, right? So that's where any data, that was not transferred successfully will be written over there. Okay, a flow will be triggered on demand, so that's fine. Click on next, right? And then here we have to map our fields. So in Redshift, we have only created table that has 4 fields. And over here, ServiceNow, we have all the fields available to us. So let us map these fields one by one. So let's select a resolve date, and we will select resolve with it, map fields, select category, you will select category, map fields, ID, and I think I'm going to select sysid, map fields, and finally severity, and let's select severity and map fields. Okay, so our 4 fields have been mapped successfully. Do we want to add any validations? Okay, so let us go back to and look at our incidence data. Now, I have selected category as one of the columns and severity as one of the columns, right? So let's group this data by category. Now we have at least 5 records that do not have a category. So let's create a validation that if category is empty, right, then ignore those records. So we have a total of 5 records that have empty categories. And basically one of the records has severity is high and 4 has severity of low. So all these 5 records will be ignored, right? Okay, so let us go back and add that validation. So category, missing or null, ignore record. Perfect, click on next. Do we want to add any filters? So let us go back over here. Now we have added a validation by which all these 5 records will be ignored. And out of these 5 records, 4 records have severity as low. Okay, right here. So you see severity 3 low. Now let's say if we group by on severity, we have a total of 55 records that have low severity. And remember that out of this 55, there are 4 records that do not have a category, which will be removed by default. So in short, we have a total of 51 records, right, that have severity as 3 or low. So let's add a filter over here saying that select all rows that have severity equal to 3 or low. So basically we will have 51 records that will meet this filter criteria, right? So there are a total of 55 records that have low severity. 4 will be out because of the validation because they don't have a category. And hence we will have a total of 51 records that meet our filter criteria, right? So click on next. And then this is all our information right here. Click on create flow. So a flow should be created shortly. Okay. Now, since our flow has been created, it's time to go ahead and run our flow. So click on run flow and our flow has started. So just wait for a few minutes. It takes a while. So you see over here, there are 55 records that were processed. So let us go ahead and check what is available in our table. So go to editor and we will say select star from incidents and click on run. We're expecting a total of 51 records. So here you go. There are a total of 51 records and these are all of severity 3. Now I have only selected these 4 columns, right? You can pretty much go ahead and select whatever columns that you want from here, right? So if you want this number or anything else, you can pretty much select whatever you like from here. So we have been able to successfully copy over 51 records from ServiceNow to Amazon Redshift. And if we actually go back and look at S3, right? So click on S3. And if we go to that particular bucket that we had, this is our bucket. It should have a folder in it for our flow. Let's see if, there it is. So this is our folder. And this is that particular file. So if you select the file, click on download, show in folder, right? And let's say first, this is actually a JSON file. So let's say JSON, open it up. You will see those records right here, right? These are all the records that got copied over. And this will be a total of 51. That's what we're expecting, because remember 51 records got copied over to our Redshift database, right? So if I open this up in Excel, you will be able to see the count of records. So there are a total of 51 records right here. And this is precisely those 4 fields, right? So our result date, category, severity, and the ID that we had requested. So I hope guys you like this particular tutorial. This particular service is pretty good. Feel free to explore the service. Let me know what your experience is. Okay. And this is it from me today. I will see you shortly in some other video. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.